We are here to hear a presentation by Gary Orlando. He's from Sterling Rock Falls, Illinois. He has been interested in the FH227 only since 1972.
Kindergarten. Hello everyone. I'm here. The FH227 became my favorite airplane. One night when my dad brought me to the airport, brought me to the fence, and Ozark Fairchild taxied up and scared the living daylights out of me. Ran back to the car, but subsequently we went back to the airport because that was what we did for entertainment back there, or back then, and it just became my favorite. And so I aspire to collect as many slides, photos, pamphlets, anything on this aircraft. Only 78 of them built out of the Fairchild plant in Hagerstown, Maryland. It was a license-built version of the Fokker F-27. And we probably wouldn't have the FH227 if it wasn't for Bob Peach, the late Bob Peach, that was the former president of Mohawk Airlines. He specifically ordered the first FH227s and introduced them, Ozark and Northeast, and Piedmont came after that. And well, we have a lot of pictures to see here, and I have a short time, so I'm going to go through them as quickly as I possibly can. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any specific, concerns or whatever. And so, let's do it. All right, so this is a Myanmar Air Force, the last one, or first one built, but the last one retired. It's in an open air museum in Myanmar. This is a Concorde Airlines Nigeria FH227, formerly Ozark plane and terrain air transport, sold to Concorde and subsequently left to rot. Picture by Dan Grew. Gavin Ware slide of Air Lesotho FH227, leased from Delta Air Transport in Belgium. Formerly 7822 Mike with Mohawk. This is Sahara Airlines. It ended up out in the desert, I found out, just rotting away. This is an Ozark Fairchild 4230 at Iowa City, Iowa in 1968. I got this slide from John Jameson. He gave it to me. Oops. Sorry. One of the former Piedmont FH227s that ended up with the Burmese Myanmar Air Force. I think that's over in Rangoon, taxiing. This is a hybrid Bahamas Air, but this was flying up as a cargo airline up in, I believe it was Denmark. And then it was sold to a Southwest Airways of Namibia, but it was, absconded, or not, no. Stopped for fuel in Luanda, Angola. The pilots were held captive, the airplane was held captive, and the Angolan government kept the airplane. Pilots were released to the British government, and it's disappeared. This is the last known picture of it. Yep. Last one built, or last one delivered you then. This is Air North of Alaska, former Northeast FH227, and I think this is either Anchorage or Fairbanks. This one had many airlines that it flew for. Other Airlift International, former 378 November Echo, changed to RD for Airlift. This is landing, I think, in Miami. The updated, more bland color scheme of the same aircraft. AUTEC, first Mohawk FH227, first of the 5 base models that was returned to Fairchild when they got their B models, and this one flew for AUTEC in the U.S. Navy, and This is the first color scheme that it wore. I think this is landing at maybe West Palm Beach or Lauderdale. This is the other AUTEC. This one, 4716 Zulu, used to be 7819 Mike of Mohawk. And this is what it looked like. Nordair FH227 CFNAJ, serial number 508, used to be 7803 of Mohawk, that was trading back to Fairchild and then resold to Nordair. This is, I can't remember, it's either 7807 or 7808. This aircraft actually took off, belly landed on takeoff, or did a wheels up into the mangroves or whatever. Interesting about this is the tail section was used to repair the tail section of an Ozark Fairchild that collided with the DC-6 at O'Hare. And so, you know, this airplane kind of provided something even though it met its demise. This is another Bahamas Air FH227. This is, I believe, a Point Grove shot at Miami on the takeoff roll. Nordair FH227 CFNAI, formerly serial number 505, and formerly Mohawk 7802 Mike. CFNAJ, once again, serial number 508. CFNAI, after it was sold, this is an Anthony Hickey slide. Before it was sold to Malmo over in Sweden. This is CFNAJ after, in the updated Nordair colors, egg on the roof there, and Canadian titles. They flew it for a while before they scrapped this in Red Deer. CFNAJ shot at Pittsburgh. I think this is the George Hamlin shot.
In your area, is still in service?
Nope.
No.
No. CFNAK, built as a cargo with a large cargo door on the other side. Of course, you can see half the windows are painted out, but this was serial number 519. And it was the only one that was supposed to be configured to have a little fender right here for rough field operations.
Fender where?
There it is after Nordair was going to sell it, or Nordair Canadian will sell it to Malmo. Then CFNAK, this is before they did half and half with the cargo. This is formerly 7816 Mike for Mohawk. This is flying for Kruger, Holt, and Paper. This is shot at Boston. The CGNDH, or CGNDH, former Ozark FH227 4220, flying for Nordair, in updated colors. CGNDH again at Nordair. GNDI in Toronto Air colors, but Nordair colors. I don't know how long it operated. I think this is a Airline shot. Czech Air. This shot was shot by Larry Ivan Petoski, and I bought this slide from Click Groves. He put a whole bunch of slides up at my request, and I get on everyone. I've got like 150 slides from him of these things.
Okay.
My airborne shot of 570, Uruguayan Air Force. I outbid Henry Tinby on this slide by, I think I bid $70 on it. He didn't want to pay any more, so I won it. Another shot, I think, I can't remember who shot this. This is taxiing at Aero Park down in Buenos Aires. Uruguayan Air Force, but no titles. This is Airliners Uruguayas. This is formerly 4231 of Ozark and OODTB of Delta Air Transport. Ended his life down there, rotting away in Montevideo. That's the same airplane in Delta Air Transport colors with the titles. This is the other one, 4230 and OODTA, same airport, Aero Park in Buenos Aires. This is Delta, FH227 November Echo. This is a photo scanned. That's at Keene, New Hampshire. And of course, it was one of two that made it into the full Delta colors. The other one was 376. This is Iona International. This is an FH227 that used to fly for Nordair, CFNAK. Made it to Ireland, where it was scrapped in Norwich, England.
Why does that? Why does that appear to have the same tail as the Malmo era?
Because it came from Malmo. It circulated all the way through, and Malmo was the last operator before it was leased to Iona.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so Ireland Airways, this was the other FH227. I think it was KBR, but this was CFNAI from Nordair. This is a Chuck Stewart shot in Oklahoma City. This airplane was leased for a short time to Emerald Air, Ozark, obviously. This is an Emerald Air Jim Singer shot at Austin, Texas, and 374 November Echo without the Emerald Air tail logo on the tail. This is Emerald Air 374 November Echo in the updated colors. This picture was shot, or the slide was shot by Jerry Stanek.
Was that Austin one in Muller Field or the new one?
I'm not sure.
Old Austin.
This 377 November Echo, Airline blue colors. This is what it looked like before it started flying for Emerald Air. This is also shot by Chuck Stewart in Oklahoma City. This, don't know where I got the slide, Air Service Iran, former Piedmont airplane. Interesting thing about the Piedmont FH227s is the additional window here, that's on every other 68 Fairchilds were built with the bathroom right back here. Mohawk put their bathroom, or Piedmont put their bathrooms back here and put all of the cargo up here. Because they're on the standard one, you had cargo back here and up here. There's another Air Service Iran. This is in Bahrain. These are slides, by the way. And then this is a photo. This one had a different color scheme. It's like red and black or something like that. Kind of strange. TAT landing at probably Paris or Heathrow. FGCGH, former Ozark 4224. FGCLO in the last TAT colors for France, formerly Ozark 4229. FODMP, which was formerly Mohawk 7812 Mike. This is the proof that the FH227 has landed on each of the 7 continents. The shot was taken in Brisbane, Australia. FGC, FC, formerly Mohawk 7804 Mike Jen Air. This is at Denard with all the turboprops that got scrapped. FGCAJO, former 703 uniform with Piedmont, sold to TAT, and then they sold it on to East Transvaal. This was scrapped in Denard as well. FGCLP, former Ozark 4235. They flew it for a while, then they sold it to Nordair. FGCLQ, former Ozark 4217 landing. FGCPS 4226. This is the airplane that got the half the Bahamas Air tail. And then it ended up crashing on approach into into Paris, a number of years later. Former Ozark 4227 with a hybrid little door. This is shot by Jacques Guillaume in Paris. This is at Berlin Tegel. It's a former Ozark aircraft. Can't remember which one. This is 4221 Ozark with Iona colors, or Iona titles, TAT colors, and a white loaner rudder. FGCPZ, Iona TAT colors, and X4235, 4234 Ozark. FGDAH, X4220 of Ozark, flew for TAT and then was sold along with the other one to Nordair. FGDDM, I can't remember the name of the company, but it crashed coming into Valence, France, formerly 7812 Mike of Mohawk. Formerly 7817 of Mike of Mohawk flew for Skyways for a while. There were only two of the two SKYA and YB were the only two on the British register. HCAYM, formerly 7805 Mohawk. This is operated by Equavia in Ecuador. Same airplane flying for Petro Production in Quito. And the last colors of this airplane before it crashed. What's neat about this is that they did a wheels up landing, the nose gear collapsed, and they had to repair it. So they scud ran it to Piedmont Aviation Services, and they took the nose section off of a Masaba F27, one that I flew on, 270 Mike Alpha, and fixed the nose gear with it. And then it turned around and crashed into El Tigre Mountain in 2002. Everyone died on it. Oh, here it is, the Texaco Petroleum landing probably at Miami or one of the related airports in the basic Fairchild colors. HCPUF, this is 2784 Romeo, was originally in the Cargonaut version of the FH227. It was actually the airplane used in the Ethan Hawke movie Alive to portray the Uruguayan Fairchild. It ended up with this airline crashing at the end of the, running off the end of the runway. This is HK 1411. This is Texaco in Colombia. This is a Chris Witt shot. This is Aerotaka, same aircraft flying in Colombia. This was exported to Afrijet in Nigeria and hasn't been seen since. Aces Colombia, former Ozark, 4220 in Medellin. And let's see here, same airplane. Don't know the location, but nice background. ARZ, ironically, the same tail number, or same serial number, former 4220. This slide was sent to me by Joe Fernandez. HRASK, one of the last FH227s to be in service, formerly, or originally Mohawk, 7819 Mike. This one is rotting away at the La Ceiba, Honduras airport. LNKAA, former Mohawk 7816 Mike. LVMGV and MGW, a couple of the former Pyrenees, and then varying FH227s. These aircraft were in the colors being delivered to Aero Chaco of Argentina. Here's this Aeroposta, same tail number, MGV. Another Argentinian carrier. Cata LVMGV, this one crashed in, I believe, 2001. Carrying newspapers, they had an engine failure, failed to make it back to the airport, and crashed in either a cemetery or golf course. LV MGW Aero Chaco. These are photos sent to me by a friend in Brazil. And LVMGW, Airlines Federales in Argentina, or Alpha for short. This is the last FH227 built. Armada, New Mexico. Serial number 578. Nitro 9, serial number 570. I think Ellis Chernoff used to fly this airplane, or was involved with it. But this is shot at San Francisco. Might have been a Clint Grove shot. No, John Stewart. Florida Gators. This is formerly 19 Mike of Mohawk. This is when it ended up in Honduras. But it flew for the Gators for a while. This is 227 Victor, which was Nitro 9. An interesting slide with this a little bit earlier today.
Nice sides.
Freshly painted Air New England FH227 in Atlanta, Georgia. 374 November Echo. Air New England bought the remaining FH227s after Delta dumped them after their merger with Northeast in 72. This is at Hyannis, same aircraft, 374 November Echo. Here's 374 November Echo in Northeast colors, I believe at LaGuardia. 374 November Echo of Pacific Alaska wearing a hybrid Emerald Air color scheme. 375 November Echo in Toronto doing a charter with Air New England because they didn't fly there. Air New England 375 at Boston. 375 November Echo at the Northeast hangar in Boston. I paid big money for this slide. Phil Brooks shot. 375 November Echo taking off probably from O'Hare. Maybe. 375 November Echo in Burlington, Vermont. 375 November Echo a few days after entering service on the 7th of September 1966. Somehow, some way on eBay I found this slide and another one, and I had to have it. You know, you can see that the engine doesn't have any exhaust, very little exhaust stains. The slide date is September of '66. Northeast. Yep. Here's 375 landing in Boston. 375 landing at O'Hare with Britt. 375 at Worcester, Mass. 375 boarding the passengers at Worcester, Mass. Britt in the hybrid color scheme minus the red cheat line. I waited forever to get a slide of that. This is in 67 at Fort Army, Kennedy. 375 landing at JFK. 376 with the Delta widget up here at Keene, New Hampshire. And then Air New England, I think this one's 378, Air New England at Keene. And yeah, 376 here at Hyannis with whole fleet. 376, I found this, I think this is in Waterville, Maine. Found this on eBay. It's a photo. And of course, little executive twin otter over here.
Nice cars.
Okay, Bloomington, Illinois, this is 376 November Echo in front, right behind 377, and back here is 4218. A mishmash of minus titles and on the tail and front. Air New England touching down in Boston. I had to crop into this because it was small in the frame. This was nice. A TWA L10 707 and Air New England 376 November Echo. The only Brit FH227 Phil Brooks shot in Bloomington, Illinois in full Continental Express colors. They did paint some of the F27s, but this was the only 227 in these colors. 376 down at Atlanta. 376 at Boston. 376 at LaGuardia. I think this is a Bob Wien-Marshall shot. Oh, and that Boston shot was an Ira Ward shot. I forget who shot this. This is New Bedford, Mass. This is a Bob Wien-Marshall shot. Delta. This is LaGuardia. Yep. Oop, darn it. Pre-delivery shot, Hagerstown. Still the base model, square bladed props. My ugly shot. Of course, I always pick the best weather to visit the airports. This is February of 1986 at O'Hare, taxiing into gate L1. This is a Jay Salmon shot at O'Hare. This is 376 George Hamlin shot, I believe, with the Twin Towers in the background. This is a shot of 376 at, I know there's Mohawk in here somewhere. This is at New Bedford, Mass. This is at New Bedford, Mass, 377 November Echo. This is 377 November Echo in that same place, or I think Waterville, Maine. 377 after it was flown down to Atlanta to be repainted and refurbished for Air New England. This is what the Emerald FH227 ended up looking like. This is an 8x10 that came in a package that I got with Northeast and Delta stuff, and I scanned it. It's really cool. I bought this whole package just because of this picture. There's another shot of it landing in Kennedy. Phil Brooks shot at Indianapolis. I'm sorry, yeah, Terre Haute, sorry. I lost this slide, got outbid on eBay. Charlie Piles was selling it, and I lost it, darn it. So I had him make a scan of it for me. Here's 378 down at Atlanta, being readied for Air New England. There it is in Hyannis. And there's a captain's log with this shot of it, of Air New England. And I wanted this shot first, since I saw that captain's log. This is shot by Elliot Greenman at Boston. And here's another 378 in Delta colors with the TW 72 and Convair 880 back there. This is 378 November Echo after delivery to Brit Airways. That's Bloomington, Illinois, but still here in New England colors. This is another Ira Ward shot, Boston. This is a photo that I bought. I saw it on eBay. I had to grab it. 378 in the front and 375 in the back, being refurbished for Air New England. This is a hybrid, of course, with the widget in Boston. Brit Air shuttle titles before they got threatened with lawsuits from Eastern for trademark violations. This horrible little picture, this is the only charter Brit did into my hometown of Rock Falls, Illinois on August 22nd, 1981. And this is a nice little shot that I found. It took a lot of manipulating to get that to turn out right, but this is taking off at Washington National Airport for some reason. 378 November Echo, and this is taken from a Northeast 727, 378 at Boston. 378 landing at Kennedy. My horrible shot, the 378 taxiing out at O'Hare. This is 379 in Hyannis. 379 in Boston. 379 in Boston again, with a nice 707 in the background. My horrible shot of 379 all white colors in Bloomington. Shawnee Airlines, 379 November Echo, in Lauderdale. 379 November Echo, landing at O'Hare, all white. Out Island Airways, 379 November Echo. 380 November Echo. This is the crash bird that crashed up near Lebanon, New Hampshire. I waited to get a slide of this. It came up and I bought it. It's like nobody tried to outbid me either. It's not a,
What year was that
I
crash?
think it was 68. This is an Elliott Greenman shot of Pittsburgh, Tenneco, Fairchild. 529 Lima Echo 40 X14 20 of Ozark. 780 or 701 uniform in Atlanta. 703 uniform after being converted with the cargo door for check air. That's at I think Executive Jet Aviation. No, American Jet Industries. Sorry. 703 uniform in the old Piedmont colors. One at looks like maybe Washington National. No, maybe LaGuardia. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the slide. 780 or 706 Piedmont taxiing into the gate with in the winter time or when it's cold, it makes a bluish smoke and lots of noise. And this is at Charleston, West Virginia. This is the two airplanes in Piedmont's fleet of these. 706 and 703 were the only two to get this updated color scheme. This is at Atlanta. This is 708 after it was sold to the Burmese National Police Force, actually donated by the U.S. government. 708 at kind of a soft focus at National Airport. I think this is also a Petoskey shot. This I found. I think I got this slide from maybe Joe Fernandez, but this is at O'Hare Airport in '75 before they retired it. I have no idea what an FH was doing at O'Hare. They never had it on the schedule. This is at Tri-Cities, Tennessee, with a nice little Southern Airways DC-9 in the background. This is 712 uniform. This is the very first FH227 to crash in Charleston, West Virginia in '68. James River pacemaker. 854 Tango Alpha and former 7814 Mike of Mohawk. This is in the Trans-Adria color scheme. That's in Antwerp, Belgium, after DAT in Belgium bought it. This is the second FH built. This is in Hagerstown. This one ended its life in Peru with the Peruvian government. This is the same aircraft out in San Francisco, probably a Clint Grove shot. I got the slide from him. This is the same airplane, once again in San Francisco. This is the first one built, but the second color scheme for it, serial number 501. This is serial number 501. This is on its way to Burma from Mobil Oil. And that's what it looked like in Mobil Oil colors. I'm sorry, some of these slides I had to do really fast and low resolution. They're a lot nicer in person. This is 2744 Romeo after the conversion with the cargo door up front. And this one became that airborne shot of the Uruguayan Air Force FH. This one is 2784 Romeo before it was converted with the large cargo door to be the cargo naut prototype. And there it is, landing at Nellis Air Force Base. And that's the same airplane with the South Seattle Community College. This is a Joe Walker shot, Joe G. Walker. And then here it is with the Department of Energy. This is a scan from a brochure, our Ozark annual report. Tail number is 4215. This is the one that crashed in St. Louis in 1973. This is 4215, pre-delivery. This is a copy of a slide that was, or a duplicate of an original slide loaned to me by Bill Bourne at Ozark Airlines. This is the first FH, and it was the one that crashed. And then this is, and that one was shot in November of '66 at St. Louis. Oops, hold on. This is a landing shot of 4215 in 1968 at O'Hare. 4216, Bob Garrard shot at Boston. 4216 touching down and raising some smoke there. Over the crossing. Ozark, FH227 at Moline. Ozark's 4217 was the only Fairchild that had these two swallows angled down on both sides in both versions of this. No other FH in their fleet had that anomaly. And I could never get a straight answer as to why. And this was taken by an Ozark mechanic at O'Hare, so I thought I would just include it in here, just goofing around. This is a Phil Brooks shot at Bloomington after Air New England's, Brit took delivery of Air New England's Fairchild, obviously former Ozark tail number. And that's a close-up of its nose in Hyannis. And after Air New England got it from Ozark, this is the hybrid. This is taxiing in Lebanon, New Hampshire. This is 4220 of Ozark taxiing in O'Hare. 4222, one of a few that had this black up here attached to the black on top of the tail. 4235 was the other one, and 4222 was the other one. This is landing at St. Louis. This was shot at Sterling Rock Falls by a client of mine at the travel agency. He brought it in, I scanned the photo, it's 1968. And believe it or not, the fencing looks pretty much the same. This is shot in Quincy, Illinois, in the early, I think, '73. This is a George Bentley shot at St. Louis. Forget who shot it. This is Kansas City in '68. And same tail number in Kansas City, and I forget the date, but has he updated? You notice, oops, darn it, okay, no. The titles here are larger, and they move the gray down and lighten it up. I like this version better. This is 4229 at St. Louis on the ramp. 4229 in Moline. Mr. Huslander shot this one. 4229, I believe we got this shot from, or this slide from Joe Fernandez. I think it's Hayes shot. No, that's, sorry. 4230 taxiing out of Quincy, Illinois. 4233 at St. Louis. This is another slide I got from Joe Fernandez. This one I happened to find on eBay, so I had to buy it. This 4233, and this lady here is this one, and this lady here is this one here. But they were boarding, and it's like, I knew it was 4233 because I only saw this one. I saw that. This was the only FH in Ozark's fleet that had the tail or the shark fin antenna under here. And when I saw this, and then I saw this one offered too, I knew I had to get both of them. This was shot by Clint Groves at Louisville. It's 4235. This is rollout at Hagerstown, Mohawk's first FH227 7801, and with their first Fairchild aircraft. 7801 at Newark. The slide was labeled Burbank. It's like, how many Viscounts of United and American Doc 111s you see in Burbank? Incorrect. Okay, Newark again, 7803 Mike. One of the 5 turned back to Fairchild. 7804 at, this is a Harry Siebert shot at the LaGuardia. They remarketed it, but put it in Fairchild colors. 7804 Out Island Airways, I think this is a Flint Grove shot. 7804 in Bahamas Air. 7804 in Out Island Airways again, I think this is Nassau. 7804 in Mohawk colors at Toronto Malton Airport. 7805 after it was sent back to Fairchild. This is at Transpo 72 at Dulles Airport. Mohawk 7805, City of Glens Falls. Tail number is, I can barely see the City of Glens Falls right here, but tail number is there, and well. 7806, Mike. This is owned by the Lansing Community College. I discovered this by accident on a random trip to Lansing, Michigan. And so I talked my way to getting out on the ramp. And they let me do it. These are prints, they're not slides. So it is what it is. And this is when it was still flying for the Department of Energy before it was donated to Lansing Community College. This is Mohawk Fairchild. It was a series of slides that I bought off of eBay. This is at Ithaca Airport. Former Mohawk Fairchild, 7807 Mike. This is a Nigel Shallcraft shot. 7807 and the colors, kind of a Mohawk style color scheme, but hybrid. This is another Allegheny / Mohawk incarnation. This one's a John Proctor shot at LaGuardia, and this is blue. It was painted blue, and I have people that are arguing with me saying that I'm colorblind and it's black, it's blue, but it has the Allegheny sticker back there with the Mohawk dials. This is 7811. This is in the soft focus, but it's original color scheme for that aircraft. And then this is the updated color scheme. This is a Harry Seaver shot at Kennedy. This is the Mohawk Fairchild that crashed in Glens Falls. And this was shot a couple of months before it crashed. This is at Newark. This is 7815 down here. And all the other goodies in the background there. 7815 landing. It scanned horribly, sorry. 7815 as it was being passing through Prestwick, Scotland, going over to Skyways and wearing the former Wing Air Alaska colors. 7815 in storage in Vegas, another Nigel Shallcraft slide.
Wait a second, Skyways, what?
Skyway Cargo, over in England.
In England, okay.
This is 7816 Mike of Mohawk, making a lot of cold weather smoke. But if you notice up here, this must have been before they de-iced, because all that frost up there would be a bad thing to fly with. 7817 at American Jet Industries, getting ready to be converted to a cargo configuration that became GSKYB. Oh, actually it went to Wing Air Alaska first, and then to Skyways. And there's 7817 and 7806. Both Allegheny stickers, and of course at LaGuardia with the slide is 100 times better than this. But I saw this, I had to grab it. 7817, this was the last one in Wing Air colors that I needed. It came up, I bought it. It's like, thank God. This is a scan someone sent to me. It's 7818. This is the one that crashed in Albany, New York, into the house after they had a propeller malfunction on this engine. Crew was too attentive to that problem with the propeller, and it ended up.
That was in.
That
was in 71.
72. March of 72.
March.
2 blocks from my grandmother's house,
Oh.
and for about And for about an hour, they thought my uncle might have, or my cousin's husband might have been on the plane,
Oh gosh,
but he wasn't.
that's crazy. This is 7819 and 7815 at LaGuardia, shot by John Proctor. 7819, I think that's, I can't read
You
that.
wanna read that? Airport sign.
Former Mohawk. 7020 at Washington National, Mohawk and Allegheny sticker. 7820 with Wiener Air Alaska up at Anchorage. 7820 King County Airport. 7820 formerly, it's going to be tail number XC LPC, I think, or, yeah, Pemex color, or Petro Mexico. 7821 taxiing into Kennedy with a Mohawk Bach 111 and the new colors in the background. 7821 after they took it out to Marana. 7823 in the Bahamas Air colors. This is a slide of a copy of a slide. Or a dupe of the slide. I don't have the original, unfortunately, but hey, dupe is a dupe. 7823 hybrid Mohawk and Allegheny, also repainted blue, and people arguing with me saying it's black. This is black, that's blue.
Where was
Seven-
that, Kennedy?
That's at Kennedy, correct. This is the same aircraft landing at Kennedy Airport, 7823. This is the hardest airplane for me to get a picture of. This is just a scan of someone's scan of the slide. I don't have the slide. This is CGNDH in Canada, Nord Air, old colors. I think it was Toronto. This is serial number 502 with the Peruvian government, Teneco colors. OODTP, formerly Ozark 4231 in Sabina, Delta Air Transport colors. There it is in Delta Air Transport colors. And there it is in a Delta Air Transport colors and Sabina titles. And then DTC, formerly Ozark 4233 with the extra fin in the billboard color scheme. One of the pilots actually came up with the design for that color scheme. This is a hybrid of it. Original cheat line, but Sabina tail, little DAT logo there. And then this was the final color scheme for DAT. And this is OODTC in the Sabina colors. And OODTD, formerly 4232 of Ozark, with the Crossair titles, was leased to them. And then HTC was DTC when they first took delivery of it. OIEBB, formerly 4235. This is New Air of Denmark. This is my horrible little shot that I took in third grade at our Rock Falls Airport. Unfortunately, the tail number's not out there. That is Larry Reeves, the station manager there, and I photoshopped the light pole that was in the shot. Got it out of there. This is a random shot. I think it's Minneapolis. The background kind of looks like Minneapolis. Don't have the tail number, but I saw this. It's like, I need to have it, you know? And this, a friend of mine found this at an estate sale, these photos, scanned them together. This is in April of 1967, and I put it into a composite. So I thought that was kind of cool. And it still had not been converted to the B model. It still had the square tip props.
Whiteside County is what?
Sterling Rock Falls,
Oh.
Whiteside County Airport.
That's
My hometown.
Sterling. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
This is the, I guess, Arance FH227 This slide I waited and waited and waited for. This is the crash bird. It crashed in 1970. And I love the shot. It's awesome.
Where is it?
Really?
It's at SDU, Santo Domingo Airport. And then I think this one's in Miami. This was formerly 4233 of Ozark and then OODTC. It ended up flying for ALM Antillean Airlines. I have the manufacturer ID plate for this airplane. It was sent to me free of charge, along with the other aircraft they flew. This is the same airplane in horrible shape, shot by John Vandenberg at Curacao. This one actually was, the tail and the wings were taken off of it, and it was sunk off the coast of Curacao to become an artificial reef.
Rust. It's got rust on it.
And this is OODTD, which was forward in 1432. And this one they use as a fire trainer. Anyway, so this is Varig, SDU Airport, Paranze. PPBUG is Taba, Varig, Paranze, another Varig, Jari, Brazil, Taba in Transadria colors, with the Huts colors, and you'll notice that they replaced the ice boots with bare metal, and then they didn't need the ice boots down in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's an in-flight shot. This is a Brit Fairchild 4216. This is a hybrid with a little Malmo and Sweden Airways. This airplane is at the gate guard at Montevideo Airport. They've stripped out the inside, but it's there. I want to go see it. And that's a shot sent to me of the same airplane, but they put the wrong propellers on. This went on the Fokker F-27 100. Oh, and on the FH, this is where the APU was at.
Even if it was airworthy, it couldn't fly.
No, they stripped out the whole thing.
No, but I mean, if it was airworthy but had the wrong propellers.
No, you wouldn't be able to. And then this is the Bahamas Air, and with Aunt Matilda posing by the airplane. I don't know if that's the name. Bahamas Air takeoff. Former Ozark and Brit FH 4220 or 4218 Aero Monterey. I believe that's at Merida. Andrew Absher shot of XACZA out of Cancun. This is Cancun. I forget where this one is shot, but I was hoping to get a shot of this color scheme, or this tail number in this color scheme, and I found it. Caribe, former 379 November Echo. This is my last FH flight in '94. This is over after we landed in Cozumel. This is former 376 November Echo, Northeast Delta Air New England Brit. And that's inside of it. And that's after it came back to pick me up, take me back to Cancun. And that's it when it flew for Aero Monterey. Oh, I forgot that one. And that's former Ozark 4216 Aero Monterey. And this is for 375 November Echo. It actually is on display in Hermosillo, Mexico, as some sort of a park. This is a Richard Vandervoort shot of Mexican government. Another Mexican government Fairchild. Pemex, Petromexico. Another Mexican government. Transadria. Panadria in Prestwick on the way to Transadria. I think it's either Zagreb or Split. This is in Yugoslavia. And this is Southwest Airways, or Lugens of Namibia. And that's it.
Very nice.
Hey, Gary,
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I had my first commercial flight on 227.
Yeah.
I noticed that you went to the program, you used the word crash in the picture. Is there any common thread to that you know?
Well, with the Piedmont, the Ozark, well, excuse me, the Piedmont, the Northeast, and the Mohawk that crashed, the original three, they all crashed into fog-enshrouded mountainous areas before GPWS, ground proximity warning systems. The same thing happened with the FH that crashed in Brazil. And the FH that was exported to Ecuador and flew for petrol production, it was never updated with GPWS. And so it crashed into a fog-enshrouded mountain as well. So any of the crashes that happened were not due to a malfunction of the aircraft, other than the Mohawk, where they were farting around with the pitch prop that got stuck, the pitch lock. It was a touchy thing where you had to lift something up, and if you move the throttles too quickly, then the pitch wouldn't go from flight or into flight fine, and they would stay in a high pitch, and they had to narrow the pitch, or even flatten the pitch a bit to slow down the airplane. But they couldn't do that, so they wanted to shut it down. They couldn't get the feather, so they kept messing around with it, and just like the Eastern Air L-1011 that crashed over the little light bulb, they were too busy with this engine to realize that they were getting too low, too slow, and by the time they got the feather, they were too low and slow, and the other engine just couldn't pull them up, and they ended up. And if you're going to ask me about the Uruguayan Fairchild that crashed in the mountains, that was just a dumb mistake. They turned too early north, and they shouldn't have. Right. I know. It was.
They knew the mountain was there.
I've got the NTSB reports I've run cover to cover several times. It's yeah. I read it and I was listening, thinking, and putting myself back into the minds of what the witnesses were going through, and I think about it, it's like, it's just kind of eerie to see that airplane and you see it just minutes before it crashed, you know. And I had a former flight attendant for Mohawk donate a scrapbook that she made of the FH227 because it was her favorite airplane too, and she had a picture of the flight attendant that passed away on that airplane. Well, I think most, if not all, of the people perished on that one.
Yep.
And
Survivors on the all.
yeah, oh yeah, there were. Yeah, yeah. It actually lifted the house up off this foundation and settled into the basement of the airplane. Right, yeah. He died in the house. Pilots died, flight attendants survived. But I had an article that I read where one of the Mohawk employees was at the Albany airport, and he ran over there, and the whole basement was full of jet fuel. Yeah. It could have went kaboom.
You mentioned how you go 88?
78.
78. You know, the 78 airplanes, they sure had a lot of operators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, a lot of airplanes were with the multiple operators, but I was really impressed how many airlines around the world operate this Boeing 78 airplane.
Yeah. It is, I forgot a couple of them, so, but, you know, I tried to put as much as I possibly could in here, and I know there's a lot of repetition and things like that, but, you know.
Is it the converted?
Yeah, 23 out of all of them, all of the airframes, 23 of them met their fate in either an actual crash or like an on-the-ground collision or something like that. And some of them, what's weird is if you look at the ones that crashed, a lot of them are this serial number and the next serial number right next to it, and then this serial number and the next one next to it. And a factoid here. Usually I fly on airplanes, and I've got a whole list of airplanes that have crashed after I've flown on them. Well, there's one exception. One of these FH227s crashed in New Bedford, ran off the end of the runway in wet weather, and they had to take it apart, truck it back to Hagerstown, Maryland to rebuild it. It happened to be 378 November Echo. And that was the first Fairchild that I flew on with Brit, but it was the one that stopped into Sterling Rock Falls. And I was told by one of my Air New England pilot friends, don't put anything on here about, because the pilot he was still alive when so I didn't want to, because he was embarrassed about the running off the end of the runway. But that's one that crashed before I flew on it.
What about the one in the Andes?
The Andes.
Yeah.
That was the second Uruguayan Air Force. That was the second of the three that were ordered. And ironically, and I found out this through my association with I was asked to be a help with the documentary I Am Alive, Surviving the Andes that was sold to the History Channel. They flew me down there. They actually flew me here to Dallas. And found out that the pilot that flew the airplane down from Hagerstown is the same pilot that flew the airplane into the Andes. Yeah.
That was a straight influence.
Nope. FH227 D model. Yeah. One of the last few of them built. And
Eric, everybody has to remember, first off, I don't think any of these ever had a knock on them.
no.
And the other thing is, the airplane is chock full of 1940s and 50s technology. Even though they were flown in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they were really ancient technology, and they're very basic. They're very basic. And,
Yeah.
so, like Harry was outlining, how many of them made this an approach to big mountains. They didn't have a lot of technology to help them.
Right.
As far as navigation is concerned, that's how we have.
And I'll tell you, a lot of the Fairchilds that crashed in Brazil. Much of the ones that went to Tava, Brazil, they met their demise down there. And they don't have the nav aids. They didn't have all of the updated. I think it was 1974 that ground proximity warning systems were mandated for airliners, if I remember reading correctly, but not all airliners. Just some of the bigger jets. Ozark.
Even the ones that they put in, I flew two F-27s in the 1980s, and they were corporate airlines owned by Champion.
Yeah.
Sparkle company. And okay, we had a GPS that was like version Mark 1.
Yeah.
We had the least sophistication and alerts as compared to what we have today. Now they're very sensitive. They fall out of currents at 10 feet at a time.
Right.
All kinds of things. The ones that they have in the 60s.
Yeah, I believe like with the Mohawk or the Piedmont Fairchild that crashed, when it hit. I mean, when the Fairchild lands, it lands at a nose down attitude, and they just went into the ground and up the side of the mountain. They landed short from the runway, and
Which crash was that?
Were they fatalities?
yeah, a lot. That was Piedmont.
Was that in Hampton?
That was 1968. Piedmont, Charleston, West Virginia. That was the very first accident they had. The mountain was enshrouded with fog, and once again.
The New Hampshire one.
The New Hampshire,
Yeah.
that was, oh, no.
68.
That was October
Six-
of '68.
Yeah,
That was second.
that was northeast.
Northeast. Northeast.
And that was 380 November Echo.
And they crashed into the mountain, but I don't,
Yeah, Lebanon, New Hampshire. Pilot, I think it was Pilot Knob Hill or something like that, Pilot Knob area. And, yeah, they had the same thing. They flew around and, you know, they made their approach and they just smacked into the side of the mountain. And the flight attendant survived to that. And the pilots didn't. Flight attendant survived. She actually helped survivors. And I actually had a couple of pictures of her that I got on eBay. Picture of her as she's being wheeled away, and then a picture of her after, you know, she's looking at herself in that picture. She helps some of the survivors get off the airplane. But ironically, and she was 21 years old when she was a flight attendant for Northeast, but died in 1990 of cancer.
Oh.
I looked her name up. And, yeah. But this one actually, this is the one that ended up on the desert. 7822 Mike.
And Gary, the ones that they set up on the cargo work on the side, were those all full freighter combis, or did any of them get the windows plugged if they were converted to a freighter?
They were a combination. It never sold as a real freighter. It was offered, but yeah. So yeah, it was sold as offered as a cargo, not a freighter, but nobody ever bought it. The thing that canceled and brought this thing to an end was the proposed Fairchild F228 jet. To be a shorter version of the Fokker F-28, powered by Rolls-Royce Trent high bypass turbofan, not related to the Trents that power our 777s. Anyway, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Oh, one question.
Yeah, I had a chance to ride on an FH227 back in the winter of 1996, and Mohawk was on strike. My parents and I were trying to get from Detroit to Erie. So we were out there watching, we were doing this, scout mechanics, we kind of get the props going. Wouldn't turn, so we went over to Allegheny, came down to Allegheny, the flights before, we were not moving. Came back to Mohawk to see if we got the gun being started, didn't go. Went back to Allegheny, we were there the whole day, and finally got at night on Allegheny, so I missed that. But in 1971, I was in the Air Force. I went back from Keystone Air Force Base in Mississippi, and I flew on different airlines to get home. And I got as far as St. Louis. And I got on 4218.
Okay, 4218.
Yeah, and I stops in Columbia and goes on to Kansas City. And I remember the flight attendant being kind of, goodbye everybody, goodbye, lunch on. I'm trying to build a model of one, and unfortunately, some technicalities came up and I was unable to get it ready for the model contest. But I wanted to ask you, what is that little square on the dorsal fin up by the tail? Is that,
That right there takes the place of those little air scoops that were down here. That's an air exchange.
air exchange?
Yeah, I believe it's the Ram Air for the pneumatic system. Is that correct?
It's right there for the cabin air conditioning.
A cabin air conditioner? Okay.
So heating and cooling in the cabin, always the air.
Yeah.
I thought it was really like that, or it's really crash.
Okay, so all right, so, okay, I think we're done. Any,
What you might also see is you see the louvers down between the blue stripes
right
down
here?
there. Okay, so there's a heat exchanger, so the air is scooped up in that square scoop and it comes out down here. Okay, so there's a heat